everybody, it's Lauren with Memory Lane Jane, and this week is one of my favorite weeks of the year. This Wednesday is Veterans Day, and I love that we set aside time to honor our veterans, men and women who have served in our armed forces. And I have had the honor of interviewing so many veterans in my journalism and writing career, men and women who just have done amazing things for our country in World War II and the Korean War and the Vietnam War and the Gulf War. And so I wanted to take some time this week every day to post a video and share with you some of the stories that I have had the honor of listening to and introduce you to some of the people that I've gotten to know really well that are veterans and that I've worked with. So I'm excited to do that. Also really excited to tell you that for the first time since starting Memory Lane Jane that I have a giveaway. Never done anything like this before, and I'm excited to tell you more about it, but that won't be until the end of the story. You have to wait for the surprise. But I wanted to introduce you today, kicking off this week of honoring veterans, introduce you to my dad's friend. His name is Larry Hood. And he was in the 82nd Airborne Infantry. He was a radio operator in the U.S. Army in Vietnam. And we had an assignment when I was in college to interview someone and then act out their story in class. And so I interviewed him. And this was my first time being up close and personal and really getting a lot of detail from a veteran's story. Both of my grandfathers served in World War II. Both of them didn't really talk about it much, and I was so young that when they were still alive that I didn't really care much or think much to ask. Now I would give anything to go back and know all of the details, but that can't happen, and so I'm doing it for other people. And so Larry, I interviewed him, and then I had to transcribe it for class myself, and then I had to act it out. And he was from Texas, always a lifelong Texan, and had this really thick Texas accent, and I had to memorize this script and read it or perform it in class, which I will not be doing here. But I just wanted to share a little bit of his story because it's very, very powerful, and it's impacted his life in a lot of ways. And so he was 18. He enlisted when he was 18 and 11 days old. And I'm always surprised at the specifics that veterans will remember about things like that. And so he knew that the numbers were increasing of who was getting drafted. And so he just decided to go ahead and enlist. And then he was sent to the southern part of South Vietnam called Nguyen Bai Den, which was translated Black Virgin Mountain. And so he says it's the highest mountain in South Vietnam, even though it's in the southern part of it. We had a camp on the very top of the mountain, basically in the clouds. There were 38 Americans up there, and that's where I lived for 93 days. There was only one way to the mountain, and that was by helicopter. There was no way you could go up it or down it, so it was one way in, one way out. That was by helicopter. Probably the biggest fear up there was they would come on the same radio station you were on at night. So he's talking about the Vietnamese, Viet Cong. So the biggest fear up there, they would come on the same radio station you were on at night, and you could never turn them off because you were in constant relay. They would come on and tell us this was the night they would be coming over the top of the mountain, and they did that often. So you just finally accepted the fact that if they come, they come. If they don't, they don't. If they come, there's not much that we could do, 38 men. It was a real psychological battle more than it was a physical battle. The battles that I was involved in, or the firefights that I was involved in later on in the year down in the mainlands, were much more fierce, but they weren't as psychological as that was. You were kind of like a rat up there. You were trapped. There was nothing you could do to stop them from doing what they wanted to do to you. It was just a gamble, but somebody had to be there. And so that really stuck out to me when he was sharing that with me. And we talked about, have you shared a lot of this with your family, or who else knows all the details? And not many people had asked. I think he was pretty open, unusually open. I find that a lot of times in combat, men and women don't want to talk about it because it is so hard and the impact is so long lasting. But that when you do talk about it, it's so healing and so therapeutic, and someone just taking an active interest in your story and in the ways that you've sacrificed and served really matters. And so just a little bit more from his story, from Larry's story. This is the second night I was in the country. Our base camp was mortared, and I spent the whole night in a sandbag bunker and was having some serious concerns with what had to be going through my mind to make me join or to do something like this. He said it seemed all gung-ho, it seemed all pretty macho and everything else, and very American and everything else stateside, but it doesn't take too many nights in country where they're trying to kill you every time you turn around to make you understand that you still have 363 days to go. He goes on, but you start to callous. Most people did, where I don't necessarily hate the people there. I don't think I ever hated the people. I don't know. I just knew they were caught up in the middle of it too. But I didn't want what they were caught up in the middle of and what I had allowed myself to get caught up in the middle of be the reason I was going to be zipped in one of those bags. I would say our attitudes by the time we were there over 6 months were every time you zipped up a body bag, even if it was somebody you knew, you might not say it, but you always thought it, and that was better him than me. And so Larry has battled significantly with PTSD, and he shared with me about, if anybody wakes him up when he's sleeping on the couch, that they better move within 6 feet of where he can jump up and go after somebody. And he's grabbed his loved one's throat, and he doesn't like fireworks, and he doesn't like war movies, and all of the things, and struggles with anger and depression. And so it was such an honor for me for him to open up to me and to share this and to be able to do this for my class. And I think it was a seed that was planted for me and for Memory Lane Jane, even all of those 23 years ago, thinking back on my encounter with him and his story and how powerful it was. And so that's today's story, the veteran Larry Hood. I just want to honor him and thank him for his service and all that he's done and sacrificed, just even in himself, emotionally and physically, to fight for us. And so, that is the story for today. And then the giveaway. So I would like to donate, gift an hour of interview time for someone in your life who is a veteran, that you would like to preserve their military story. And so it doesn't seem like an hour is a lot of time for interview, but it is. And so I would love to either sit down face to face with a mask on, of course, or over some kind of video conference and record an hour and video record an hour of your loved one's military story. And so please, you can write their name in the comment section, or you can private message me. I know that's it is a private kind of special thing, and sharing someone's name too. They might not want that out there, so send me a private message, but would love to capture someone's story and just honor them. And then maybe I'll turn it into a podcast and we could share it with everybody, but it would be something special for you to have for your family, easy to get transcribed and even do something else with, like a whole life story book. So anyway, I'm excited to connect with you guys every day this week, looking forward to it, and sharing lots of stories. This is a really important week and time for us to remember and to be thankful and honor those who have fought so hard to keep us free. So thank you guys. Have a great day.